Okay, now what we want to do is take a look at introducing slope. So we're going to be looking at how the steepness of a line is represented on a graph. So that is slope. If we look at this, slope is a number that's going to tell us how steep a line is. It is also going to tell us if the line is going up or going down. Here is something I would want to write in my notes. Slope is the change in vertical. So this little triangle means change in vertical over change in horizontal. Okay, if you remember the vertical, so going this way, that's the y. So we could say even more simply that that's the change in y. Horizontal is the one going left to right. That's the x, so we could simplify that to change in x. Okay, so if I maybe want to say most simply, slope is the change in the y value over the change in the x. If my change in y, so I'm saying from a point here to a point here, if my change in y is going up, that's going to be a positive slope because going up is positive. If I look at this other one, if I have a point here and a point here, and I'm going down to get over to this other point, this change in y is negative. So positive slopes go up, negative slopes go down from left to right. So if we say this again, we said simply, my slope is change in vertical, which is same as change in y, over the change in horizontal, which is the change in x. If I look at this on a graph, if I'm starting from this point here, my change in vertical is going up. That is my change in y. Then I'm going to go over to the right, my change in horizontal, my change in x always goes to the right. Okay. So by having the change in horizontal always go to the right, it lets my change in y, my change in vertical, determine the positive or the negative. So the positive is when it's going up. The negative is when it's going down. Let's look at what that would look like if I had a graph. So I've taken part of a line. You can imagine this as a line that is continuing on and on, works both ways. What I'm saying is I'm going to choose 2 points on that line. Going left to right, I can see that I'm going to go up and then to the right. So my up tells me it's positive, and I'm going up starting at this point, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my change in y is plus 6. So remember, we're going to say slope is change in y over change in x. So I'm going up 6, that's positive 6, and I'm going over, starting from here then, going over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So going to the right is always going to be positive, so that's plus 5. So my slope of this line would be 6/5. Let's look at a couple more. So again, remember, this is as if we have a continuing line, and I'm just looking at two specific points on here. So this one, when I'm finding the slope, change in y over change in x. So the first thing I look at, the change in y is going down. So I know that's going to be negative. I'm going down 1, 2, 3. So that's -3. And I'm going over from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my slope would be -3/7. If I look at one last one, again, my line from left to right is going down, so that's going to be a negative slope. This could be any part of a line, and I'm just taking 2 points right here and here. So my slope, change in y over change in x, my y is going down, so that tells me it's going to be negative. I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going over here 3. So I have -6/3, and if you remember from the first video, if a number will divide into both the numerator and denominator, I can reduce this. So I can see that 3 will divide into both. So 3 goes into -6 -2 times, and 3 goes into 3 once. So I could say my slope is just -2. Okay, we've got a sheet for you to practice some of these to figure out slopes.